Yo, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to a new Destiny video. Guiding Light here, and in today's video we're going to be doing a comprehensive breakdown of the 5 most used legendary hand cannons in Destiny today. So we're going to start things off. We have the Lord High Fixer, the Down It and Doubt 000, we have the Imago Loop, the Eyasluna, and the Apple 3. We're going to be doing a comprehensive review and comparison of all 5 of these hand cannons. So to start things off, let's just break down the rolls of all of my hand cannons right at the beginning here, so you guys can see all of the rolls that I have. Now they're all pretty similar rolls, and to be honest, they're all pretty much a god roll except for my Imago Loop. So let's just get right on into the Apple 3. Now this is an amazing hand cannon in my opinion. I definitely like the look of it, and it handles pretty well, but I'm going to have some gameplay for you guys in just a bit. So for this one, we have Quick Draw IS, we've got Fast Draw, Steady Hand, Spray and Play, Snapshot, and Hidden Hand. I also have Casket Mag and Rifled Barrel, however, I just stick with these perks right here. That's what I have on the Apple. So for the Eyasluna, you guys might have seen this before on this channel. We've got the True Set IS, Last Resort, Hand Loaded. We have Explosive Rounds, but to be honest, Hand Loaded is just way more effective. Explosive Rounds are cool and all, but Hand Loaded is just a little bit better in my opinion. We've got Luck in the Chamber as well, which just makes that Eyasluna unstoppable. Next up, we have Lord High Fixer, which is another pretty decent roll. We're running the Quick Draw IS, Rangefinder. We got Lightweight, which is awesome, but I run Brace Frame for that added stability. Next up, we have Mulligan as well, which is pretty decent perk on that gun. Now, we also have the Imago Loop. Now, this is the only one I don't necessarily have a god roll for. This is more of a PvE version, but we do have a decent roll nonetheless. We have Quick Draw IS, Exhumed, Hand Loaded, Feather Mag, and Grenadier. So it's an okay loadout, although it's not exactly ideal for PvP. And finally, we have the pretty rare gun, the Down It and Doubt 000. Now, to be honest, I don't really use this too often, but the rolls on it are quite incredible. So we do have Fast Draw IS, Steady Hand IS, Sure Shot IS, we've got Luck in the Chamber, which is incredible. We also have Underdog and Icarius, which is just a pretty cool perk for when you're airborne. It doesn't really do too much otherwise. So that's why I run Underdog. And we also have Rifled Barrel. So all the rolls are kind of similar, and we're going to be running every single one of these guns in Rumble. So I'm going to be testing all of these guns out in Rumble only, and we're only going to use my Warlock just to keep this test as fair and as simple as possible. So let's get right on into some gameplay, and I'm going to give you guys my opinions and reviews on all 5 of these hand cannons. So to start off the comparisons, we have the Apple 3 or Triple I, whichever one you really want to call it. But either way, this one's a pretty awesome roll, and it's pretty similar to the Lord High Fixer out of all 5 of these hand cannons. As you can see, it's a pretty decent gun. Now this is one of the only hand cannons where you can actually use it on really far ranges. Now you won't expect to get like a 3-shot or anything at a really far range, but you can get 4 or 5 shot kills on people from across the map, which is pretty awesome. That's something you'll be able to see with the last word. You usually won't even be able to make it that far. So as far as that's concerned, it's almost better than some of the exotics in certain situations. If you're a sniper, you're definitely going to like this hand cannon because it's one of those hand cannons where you can just get a body shot on someone, swap to the hand cannon real quick, and just get a quick bullet on them with the hand cannon and finish them off. That's definitely something I look for when I'm sniping, and I am sniping a good majority of the time. So for me, this hand cannon is definitely perfect. It's about a 3-shot body to headshot from really close ranges, so that's why I definitely like to use it in those situations as well. But if you're one of the people that likes to snipe and then swap over their hand cannon, this is also one of those more perfect hand cannons too. And it being legendary just helps that much more, and it's not like the last word, so you're not taking up that exotic slot. But if you're just a shotgunner, this is still a pretty decent hand cannon. The fire rate is actually pretty good, and at a close range you won't have too much of a problem. The only time you're really going to have a problem is at extremely far ranges. You're not going to beat out a Might Multi-Tool with a hand cannon or anything like that, but either way, it definitely can compete, and I could see myself using this gun on just about any map at all. Now this is a new Monarchy hand cannon, so you'll get this from just leveling up the new Monarchy faction and opening up those packages. So it could be hard to get, it really just depends on how high of a level you are in new Monarchy and just really just your luck in general. So this one may be harder for you to obtain than some of the others if you haven't been with new Monarchy for too long. But either way, it's a pretty decent hand cannon. Now in comparison, now we're swapping over to the Imago Loop. Now again, this is just like the other hand cannon we were just using, the Apple Lion. It's pretty similar, the fire rate and everything is just about the same. Now, again, like I said, this is about the only hand cannon I don't have the ideal rolls for PvP. But surprisingly, it's still kept up pretty well, especially in comparison to the other 5 hand cannons. Now, if you had better rolls, it might be better than some of the other ones that I'm going to show you today, but I'm not really too sure based on the rolls that I have. Now, either way, it's still pretty great, and if you're getting those headshots, you shouldn't have too much of a problem getting kills with this Imago Loop. Now, something I can say in comparison to the other ones is that the range on it is just not as great as some of the others. It's just not as effective as some of, like, the Lord High Fixer was, or even the Apple was at the extremely far ranges. So that's one downside to the Imago Loop, but when you're running a hand cannon, you really shouldn't have to be worrying about getting long range kills anyways. So if you're sticking to close to mid-range, this is definitely going to be a great hand cannon to use. It's not going to beat a Hawk Moon or even anything that has Luck in the Chamber on it, but if you have Luck in the Chamber on your Imago Loop or just any other sort of decent rolls, you will definitely be pretty unstoppable with this gun, and I would definitely suggest using it if you haven't used it already and you just have it sitting in your vault like I did. Now, if you do take it out, just be aware that the recoil on it is pretty severe. Once you get used to that recoil, though, this gun, again, can be quite unstoppable. Now, that can be said with just about any one of these hand cannons. Don't get discouraged if you start doing bad right off the bat. They do take a little bit of getting used to, and you should find yourself doing better after a few matches or so. Now, one more thing about the Imago Loop is the headshot damage. It does do just a bit more damage than that Apple 3 does, so in that regard, the Imago Loop is just a bit better. So if you're getting a lot of headshots, you will find yourself doing better with that Imago Loop over the Apple 3. Now, next up we have the Lord High Fixer. Now, this is by far my favorite weapon out of all 5 of these hand cannons. It's just something about it is really, really fun to use, and I found this one to be the easiest to get used to out of all 5 of these hand cannons. I pulled it out and immediately had no problem whatsoever using it, and I was actually using the Imago Loop in this exact same game, and as soon as I switched over to Lord High Fixer, I was immediately just doing so much better against this team. So I don't know if it was just the map or just a bias that I have for this weapon or not, but either way, this one is definitely my favorite. Now, it's definitely really most similar to the Apple Triple I or 3, whatever you want to call that damn thing. It's definitely pretty similar to the Apple, but it definitely, in my opinion, is better than the Apple in a lot of ways. The Apple just can't keep up at as far as range as the Lord High Fixer can, and it's definitely more effective at mid-range too. At just about any situation I found myself in with the Lord High Fixer, I didn't see myself in any sort of trouble at all, and I always seemed to have control of the situation, even though I really shouldn't have. That's something about the Lord High Fixer. I just was doing really well with it every time that I used it. So definitely do like the Lord High Fixer more than any other of the hand cannons. Now, my rolls on it are pretty great. Like I said, I do have rangefinder, so that does help me just a little bit. Now, if you didn't have these rolls, you might be better off with a different hand cannon, but either way, this one's still pretty great. It's going to keep up with just about... Now, if you have any other of the other 5 hand cannons I'm showing you today, you should be able to do just as well with any of the 5. This is just my favorite, and I found this one to be the most accurate as well, so that's definitely why I was able to get kills a lot easier, as I just wasn't missing as many shots. It's just something was really accurate, and the recoil of my Lord High Fixer was just perfect for me, and I was definitely really used to it right off the bat. Now, like I said, I was using the Imago Loop just before in this game, and I was able to bring this game back from like a 12-kill deficit with the Lord High Fixer. Something, like I said, something about it, I just seem to do really well with it every time that I use it. It's definitely the most balanced rolls that I have out of any of the 5 hand cannons, and it's pretty close to being the best rolls that you can pretty much get on it. Just due to that rangefinder perk, it definitely helps, and the accuracy is ridiculous. So I definitely found myself winning a lot more games with the Lord High Fixer out of any of the other hand cannons that I had. Now, like I said, it is like my favorite gun to use out of any of these hand cannons, so that may be the reason why I was doing better. And if you get better or worse rolls, you may not have the same exact type of gameplay experience that I was having. But either way, even with really, really worse rolls like I have, you should still be able to get really good kills. The only difference is without rangefinder, you might not be able to get the kills at the cross map like I can with mine. But otherwise, it's still really great even at mid to close range. Now, in comparison to the Imago Loop, this gun does just about the same damage to the head, 86 damage headshots, pretty ridiculous at mid-range. Now, if you get one as a drop, definitely test it out before just immediately scrapping it. You could have a pretty decent roll without realizing it, or the gun could just be really great for you. So, in Rumble, this is definitely a great gun to use. I'll be using it in trials as well. Just about any situation, you can pretty much use this hand cannon, and it doesn't really have too many downsides. The only time I could see yourself losing any sort of gunfight is if someone's rushing you with maybe a last word or some sort of really high impact Hawksaw or something. So definitely a great hand cannon. But let's go ahead and not waste any more time. Let's swap over to something else. We're going to swap over to the Eyasluna now. Give that a fair test as well, and I'm going to give you guys my review on that next. Alright, so here we are with the Eyasluna. Now, this is probably the most popular of the 5 hand cannons and the most wanted and desired. You can get this as a random drop in Crucible, and it's pretty rare to get a really good roll, but I ended up getting pretty decent rolls. I've gotten about 3 or 4, and only 1 or 2 of the rolls have been good. Now, either way, it's a pretty great hand cannon. Now, I have explosive rounds on mine, but as I said before, something about explosive rounds wasn't good enough for me. I had to switch over to Violet Payload. It was just a little better, and it was just kept a little more consistent at far ranges. Now, this is a great weapon. Eyasluna is a really insane weapon. Honestly, it's pretty similar to the Hawk Moon if you have luck in the chamber. Now, it's not going to beat out Hawk Moon or anything like that, but something about the Eyasluna that I can say that is better than any of the 5 hand cannons that I've tested, at least in this video, this gun is the most accurate while in the air. For some reason, this thing never misses even when you're in the air. It has no problem hitting shots in the air. It's really weird, but it doesn't like to miss even in the air, which is great if you're ever airborne and you need to shoot somebody. Now, it does 86 damage to the head mid-range, and if you have luck in the chamber like I do, you can get over 100 damage per shot, so that's pretty ridiculous. It can take someone out pretty fast, and a lot of people won't see that lucky round coming and will just rush you blindly, so it's pretty great hand cannon. It'll catch a lot of people off guard because the impact is just insane. They won't expect to see it when they see the hand cannon in your hands, but this gun absolutely tears. You can just go on ridiculous kill streaks. Mid-range, long-range is okay. Long range, you're going to have a lot of problems, as you can see right there. Against that sniper, I wasn't really able to do much or even land a shot. Now, if you're able to land at least one shot, you might not get sniped as fast and be able to win gunfights against snipers. But other than that, mid to close range is really where you're going to want to have to stay with this gun. Now, it is really awesome gun. It's really awesome to use, and it just looks insane as well. So if you have it, definitely don't scrap it. Any rolls on it are really fine. Never scrap this gun if you get it. If you only have one, you're definitely going to want to at least have one of them in your vault at some point. Now, this another one of those weapons, a lot of people really will like it. Now, I didn't like it more than the Lord High Fixer, although it's pretty great. And on depending on the map, especially on this one, I would always choose Eyasluna over any other hand cannon. Eyasluna is my favorite gun to use on this map. Something about this map is just really great on it, and I never really seem to have much of a problem. So yeah, in Rumble, Trials of Osiris, and a lot of pretty much any game mode, the Eyasluna will compete just with about any weapon. You will have some trouble again against scout rifles and stuff like that because it is still a hand cannon. But if you're decent with hand cannons, the Eyasluna should be a pretty great bet for you. I know I have a really easy time getting headshots with it as well, so I never really seem to have too much of a problem. And I definitely enjoy using Eyasluna over a lot of the other hand cannons in the game. And out of about the 25 or so Rumble matches I played, the Eyasluna definitely made it the easiest to win, except the Lord High Fixer, of course. And it does do a 112 headshot. If you manage to hit the final or the lucky round as a headshot, it does do about 112 damage, which is ridiculous. So it's definitely a great weapon to use, and you definitely do not want to scrap it if you get it.
Double down.
Now, last but definitely not least, we have the Down in Doubt 000, 00-0, whatever you really want to call it. Again, it's one of those weird-ass hand cannons. It's an Amalon hand cannon, and I haven't really even seen anyone really use it. I don't think I've honestly ever been killed with it. Now, like I said, I've got a pretty amazing roll on it with luck in the chamber and underdog. It does a 100 headshot with the lucky round, so it's not as good as Eyasluna, but it will do pretty decent. Now, without lucky round, it does about 77 damage, so it's pretty up there, and it's almost close to the Lord High Fixer. Now, this is not going to kill people across the map, but again, mid-close range, just like any hand cannon, you will do quite well. If you have any of these 5 hand cannons, you won't have any problem mid-close range. They're all really similar. To be honest, they're almost the exact same. Now, one plus side to the Amalon, at least if you have luck in the chamber, is that it only has 8 bullets in the mag, so you're going to have a pretty high chance at hitting that lucky round early on in the clip, which is cool. Now, the only thing that sucks about only having 8 bullets, though, is that it's really hard to get more than 1 kill, so you may need to have some gauntlets on that increase your reload speed at least, so that it's not as much of a big deal. But the Amalon does have a slower fire rate than some of the other ones I was testing out. It's not slow enough to really do any difference. It's just a little bit slower. You might not even notice the difference, to be honest. Now, like I said, you're not going to beat any last words or anything with hand cannons like this at close range, but they are pretty decent, and you can beat some scout rifles and even pulse rifles as well. Out of the 5 hand cannons, I would rate this at about 3 out of 5 out of all of them. It's pretty decent, and if you don't have any of the hand cannons, but you still have the Down in Doubt level 0, you should be alright. It'll hold up its own just the same about all 5 of these. But if you do get in a gunfight with anything else, you may not be able to win it. And it definitely does take a little bit of getting used to. It's not the strongest gun, but it is definitely still a pretty good contender. So with all that being said, that brings us to the end of the comparison of all 5 of the hand cannons. So if I had to break this down and give you a top 5 list of the best hand cannons that I've tested here today, now without much surprise, first place will be the Lord High Fixer. Now it is a little bit of a bias. I do have pretty ridiculous rolls on it as well, but at the same time, it's just really great. The recoil on it is insane. I don't have any trouble using it, and I never used it before, and just pulling it out, I was immediately amazing with it. So I have to give first place to the Lord High Fixer. Now, second place, we are going to give that to the Imago Loop. It's definitely pretty good, and if you had better rolls, I'm sure it would be just as good as my Lord High Fixer. Now, the Eyasluna and the Appleiant Triple I get tied for third place. Depending on the rolls, both of them could easily have third place, or maybe even second. It was definitely a really hard decision to decide between those 2 weapons. They're definitely both really great. Now for 5th place, I had to give that to the Down and Doubt. Out of these 5 hand cannons, it was definitely the worst, and I had the most trouble using it out of all 5 of these. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this comparison video and these reviews. Hopefully you found it useful and helpful. If you did, please be sure to drop a like down below. This did take quite a while to make, but if you guys want me to make another video like this and comparing any other weapons, scout rifles, snipers, just let me know in the comments just what you want me to compare, and I'll try my best to get that out for you guys. Other than that, guys, I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.